Yay.
Podcast first.
Yay. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I haven't been on the podcast for a while, so this is kind of exciting.
That's what happens when you move out. And we move an hour and a half.
Yeah, I suppose that's what happens. I mean, like, we've all been very busy and keeping to our own schedule, so we haven't really had time to get together and just podcast.
I
So,
know. I kind of miss podcasting
yeah.
with you. You're not as passionate about the paranormal. You're more passionate about the paranormal than Connor is.
Yeah, so I've been really excited to jump back on here and
Mm-hmm.
come back to the podcast and
I'm excited to have all three of us because we haven't done that yet. And that's
yeah.
fun. But for anyone who's watching on YouTube, you might notice we're in a little bit of a different area. And lately we've been in a bunch of different areas because we recorded at a friend's house and we just moved locations. But also, this is another different location. And we've talked about this quite a bit on this podcast. We are at our parents' house. And if you've been here for a while, you know that we've had a lot of interesting experiences at this house, to say the least. We've had things happen in the middle of the day, in the middle of the night. I actually just had an experience, not last night, but the night prior. It was super weird. Connor has a stopwatch in his backpack
Okay.
that went off at 1:24 in the morning randomly. And it was like an
What
alarm
the
that went
heck?
beep 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 beep
And
beep.
knowing you, you would not have a alarm going off at that time. So that's
No.
just
No.
like so weird.
And it's a stopwatch. It doesn't have any
Right.
alarm or anything. So unless something like bumped the watch and it started freaking out, I
It's
don't know
just
why
that
it would make noise.
Yeah,
it
that
would not make
is
noise.
that's weird. See, like I've stayed in that room and I've never had any like issues in that room. Maybe I don't know, maybe something's just following you, but that's just I don't want to say that and creep you out, but like at the same time I'm like that is just yeah, I don't know. That's
It
weird.
was so weird because I was laying there and I couldn't fall asleep because I just woke up for a little bit and I was sitting there. I'm like, oh. And then I started getting like this weird feeling. I'm like, I feel like something's going on. So I started to get just a little anxious. And I'm laying there. I'm like, okay, no, this is dumb. Like I'm gonna go to bed. And I hear beep 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 beep. It scared the piss out of me. And I'm thinking, oh, maybe it's from my phone. Check my phone. It's not my phone. I look over at Connor. It's not coming from there. And I look towards the closet where I put Connor's backpack, which is where the stopwatch was. I'm like, oh shit, that's it. So like, what on earth? And it's a standard like stopwatch that you'd use for like timing races or like oh something. So like it has no reason to go off other than if someone hit it, and it did not go off last night.
Mhm.
So if it was like, oh, maybe it goes off at 1:24 every morning, you just don't know. Like, no, it didn't go off last night. So
And I haven't touched it since. So even like pressing buttons or doing something like that, you
mhm.
accidentally turning it off, even if there is an alarm function, doesn't make sense.
Right. Yeah.
So
That's it just there's something wild going on there and that's interesting that you said that cuz that kind
yeah.
of now creeps me out a little bit. And we're now
Mhm.
in the basement of our parents' house, and basements are always creepy. So, yeah, that's kind of wild.
Yeah, I hate it. It's great.
Of course, I slept through it.
Yeah, I'm sitting there in full panic mode, and you're just snoozing away. I'm like, oh, fuck you.
Yeah, me and Beanie were napping.
Yeah, I was not having a good time, but it's fine. It's fine. Anyways, so since we're in our childhood home, I figured it was only appropriate to get some stories that had to do with people's homes and their scary experiences. My goodness, I can't talk today. Their scary experiences within their homes and see how much we can relate to it.
All right.
So hopefully they'll be half decent stories. I've skimmed them.
Okay.
So
I'm sure it'll be a good one.
I think they'll be okay. They're usually at least decent. See if my computer wants to work here. Something wanted to hurt me while another entity warned my parents upstairs. So, my whole life, I have had minor experiences with the paranormal. Things like hearing someone say my name or footsteps when I'm alone in the house or at work. However, I have had two bigger experiences, and this is the scary one. I, 40 female, was 20. My parents rented a house and let me take over the basement. My parents' room, along with my sister's room and an office, were on the second floor with the living room. We had no issues when we first moved in for the first few months, which I truly believe was because a friend of mine was staying with me in the basement. After she was kicked out of her house, she stayed with us until she was able to get her own place. However, as soon as she left, I began waking up at about 2 a.m. every night and seeing a dark shadow across my room. At first, I thought maybe it was my eyes playing tricks on me and just tried to ignore it. Around this time, though, I began to get a bad feeling down there and started spending more time upstairs just hanging out at home. I was working at a pub, and so I would often be home during the day alone when my parents were at work and my sister was in school. It was at this time I started hearing footsteps walk up and down the hallway on the second floor, which I later found out my mom would hear if she was home alone as well. But whatever was upstairs felt peaceful. Now, this is where it gets a little scary. I started to realize that the dark figure I would see at night was getting closer. I didn't notice right away because it would just stand there. But each night, it was about one step closer than the night before. Now, looking back, I probably should have moved into the office upstairs when I got into my bed, but I didn't. The last night I stayed in the basement, I woke up to this black shadow on top of me. I felt as though I could not breathe, and I started to panic, while at the same time I could not move at all. It was terrifying. It felt like it lasted forever, and yet it was most likely only a few minutes. I took my blanket and pillow, ran up the stairs, and slept on the couch in the living room. The next morning, when my mother woke up and saw me sleeping on the couch, she asked me why. When I told her what happened, she looked pale, like all the blood drained from her face. Then she told me that at that same time, she and my dad, who's very much a non believer, had a very similar experience. Only, strangely, not as scary, more like a warning. We only used the basement for storage after that. To this day, we think whatever was upstairs was trying to warn my parents of what was happening to me downstairs.
I hate that so much. I have chills. Like, I have chills.
Can you imagine just seeing it get closer to you every night?
And not panicking about it? Are you kidding me? Yeah, just here, there, there. Like, no, no. Run away, please.
Yeah, I don't know, that would be like I I don't I would have to stay in a hotel. I don't want that near me. I wouldn't be able to sleep. I would turn the light on and then like read a book or something. Like I would not be able to sleep because like I've had like vibes at night where like if I watched like a scary movie and like I was like, okay, I can't sleep. I would like keep the light on for a while, watch TikTok or whatever, and until I like drifted off to sleep. But yeah, if I kept seeing that, no way, no chance. Mm-mm.
Day in, day out on a consistent basis?
Mhm.
Absolutely not.
And then just seeing it get closer and closer to you, yeah, no.
It's terrifying.
I think bare minimum you go upstairs and sleep on the couch.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
exactly.
think even that I think might still be an underreaction depending on
Yeah.
the circumstance.
I wouldn't want to be in the house at all. Like,
Mhm.
just no. Get me out of
Something's
there.
watching you sleep. Ew.
Mhm.
Ew. I think the footsteps are interesting, actually, Connor. The other day, you know when Nova had an accident on the ground, and then you like took her outside, and then Beanie like ran across the street. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, while you were doing that, I went downstairs because I heard you take him out, and I was sitting there, and I heard dum, 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 like footsteps in the house. The crazy part was I couldn't pick out where they were coming from.
Interesting.
Hmm. I could not figure it out. It was the weirdest thing.
I don't know how to react to that
I
either.
mean, neither. It was so weird because I thought it was you, and I kept looking around the house like, what is happening? 'Cause, like, I didn't feel scared at all, and usually I can feel it, but I didn't feel anything. I'm like, I was sitting there, I'm like, it doesn't sound like anyone's doing construction outside. I know you're not inside because I was looking. I'm like, did he come in? I'm like, you're not walking around the house because you were running after Beanie. And I was like, what the hell? It was the weirdest thing.
I don't live there, and I live an hour and a half away, but I'm like, I have been there, and I will tell you, I did not like your basement when I first went in down there. Like
I hate the basement.
that basement is the creepiest basement. When like I saw the staircase for the first time and like we were walking down it, I was like, this is a staircase from a horror movie.
It
Mm.
is.
Like it straight up is. I had I had the chills down there. I did not like it at all. So there's definitely I feel like there could be something down there.
So for the viewers at home, our staircase into our basement literally used to be a cellar door. Like there is still a latch to hold the door open. And so it is about as wide as my shoulders, and you have to like duck your head to get down the rest of them. So you can't really bring furniture or anything like that down there. It is just storage essentially, but it's super sketchy.
Yeah, that's why I usually make you bring the laundry down there because I don't like going down there. I avoid it.
There is an easy feeling when you enter that basement. I just
Yeah.
yeah, I even remember like saying for the first like when I first went down there like this is a creepy basement. Like
It is.
I don't like it. I
I
don't like
just
that
try to
basement.
ignore it.
The upstairs of your house is nice. Your main floor and your upstairs are nice. I like those, but the basement, not it. No, not for me. Don't like it.
No, I agree. That's fair. Are you ready for our next story?
Yes, please.
Very ready.
I lived in a house where I'm convinced I was hearing slash seeing the ghost of the previous owner. When I was young, my family and I would move around a lot due to my dad's job. I saw a lot of towns and cities along the way, and frankly, I enjoyed it. I was around 7 or 8 when we moved to this certain house. I can't remember the town's name, but it was a small town with nothing around but a Walmart. Enough about the background. This house was rustic looking, not very updated. There was always this vibe about the house, like you weren't alone, and everyone felt it, despite trying to deny it. The first time I heard anything was when I once got home from school. I was the first one home, so I decided to play a video game. I got really into the game until I heard a creaking noise, like when something is leaning back and forth in the wind. I could hear it coming from the dining room. I put my ear up to the dining room door, and I am certain the noise is coming from there. I open the door, but the noise stops, and I hear a huge thump. I feel a cold draft come out of the room. I try to figure out what the noise was, but never figured it out. That same night, I fell asleep in the living room and again was woken up to the creaking noise. I ignore it, but for some reason I get this feeling of dread and look towards the hallway, and I can see the silhouette of someone in the prone position on the floor. I thought it was my brother trying to scare me, so I turn back and start to fall asleep until I hear a quiet voice call my name. I immediately feel dread and pull the covers over my head. I start to hear footsteps coming towards me and stop immediately above me. I'm literally about to ship bricks in my head. I tell myself to start swinging. I didn't care who was standing there. I'd do just that, and nobody is there. I go to sleep in my mom's room and keep it to myself. The curiosity was killing me, so I asked one of the neighbors who has lived in the neighborhood for a while if he knew anything. This certain neighbor was an older man. He was usually a jokester and was always laughing and joking. As soon as I asked, his face turned serious. He asked me why I asked so fast. Apparently, the previous owner killed himself. Apparently, she hung herself from the dining room chandelier. I swear, I never felt chills like that before. I am convinced I was hearing her body rock back and forth on that big thud was when the chandelier gave out. The only reason I say that is because the chandelier is no longer there. What
So
the fuck, man?
that actually kind of reminds me of The Haunting of Hill House and like that TV show of how like spoilers ahead if anyone hasn't seen it and wants to when um one of the characters, I forget her name, but she like is tricked into hanging herself and then like she swings back and forth and then proceeds to haunt her siblings and like just similar concept to that, just like people dying in houses and then haunting it is or, like it also reminds me of the movie Beetlejuice in a way, where the people die and then they basically haunt their house and um it yeah, I kind of got chills from that too, and Connor was showing me on his
I
arm.
was like, I got goosebumps.
Yeah,
I when they said that the girl hung herself in the dining room, I got goosebumps. I
hmm
was like, and they're like, oh, she hung herself from the chandelier. I'm like, like, and it's
yeah,
not there. I'm like, oh my god!
The creaking. I'm like, oh, that's her
yeah,
body.
that
Like
gives me
the
chills.
big thumb. And then like again, why are you just like cowering under your blankets if somebody's like up to you in the middle of the night?
I
Yeah,
think I'd be frozen in fear. I can't lie.
I would go
Because
out the
I'm
window.
running.
I would go out the window. Are you kidding me?
You'd be like a cartoon character, like right out
What?
the window.
The leg
Breaks the window.
I don't know. I like yeah, bolt out there as fast as possible. I don't know what I would have done. It
At least she like tried to wake up and start swinging, but you're swinging at
eh,
a ghost. You're already dead if it's standing right over the top of you. Like that's
yeah,
it.
there's like
Ugh, I don't like it. I don't like that it was just like she said that there was a figure laying on the floor in the prone position. You
that's
guys know what the
weird.
prone position is,
Yeah,
right?
like
Yeah.
laying down.
Yeah. If anyone doesn't know, the prone position is when you're laying on your stomach on the ground with your arms like on both sides of you spread
hmm
out, like almost like a cross,
Yeah, almost like Jesus, but like
but face down.
yeah.
Jesus fell on the ground. That sort of stuff. Like, yeah, that's what it is for anyone who
I don't
doesn't
want to
know.
laugh at that, but yeah,
Oops, the cross fell
it's a
down.
it's a very makes a very good picture for
Yeah.
anyone like yeah. Um, it also kind of reminds me of like this real thing that happened, like not happened, but like at where I work, the site that I work at, one of the residents there passed away in the home before I started working there, and I just hear stories about that resident. And so she like there's stories of her continuing to haunt the house and how like the resident that moved into her bedroom um apparently talks to her at night or something and like staff there will hear that resident talking to the dead resident and or like think that basement's also kind of creepy. I hate going down in that basement like after everyone's in bed. When I go down in that basement, it's creepy. It gives me the chills. I just yeah, that house is very creepy. And you know what house I'm talking about. It was the main one that I worked at, but yeah, I just it's giving the like we didn't never saw like the figure, but it's the similar vibes of someone like dying in a house and then coming back to haunt it. But yeah, I feel like if like I could hear that thing going on, I would just yeah, I don't know.
I'd bolt in
Yeah,
0.2 seconds. I'm not staying there. Nope, I'm out.
yeah,
Goodbye.
gives the
Yeah,
chills.
that's fat chance, man. That's not happening for me. That's terrifying. Like, that's actually so scary.
Mm.
Ugh.
I don't know that it's probably one of the like scariest stories I've heard on this podcast so far. Just like
That's, yeah.
These have been some good
He-
ones so
yeah,
far.
hearing the body just sway back.
that would
The
freak me out.
I'd
Like
probably cry.
I don't know what I would do if I heard that.
I'd cry. I would legitimately cry.
I'm envisioning this in my head as this is going on too. And so
Yeah.
then like initially I'm hearing like creaking in the wind. I'm thinking of like branches and that kind of stuff. I'm like, why what would be creaking? And the second they're like neighbor hung themselves, I'm like, oh, oh
Mhm.
no. And so like my brain goes and creates the mental picture of walking in the kitchen
Just
door,
like goes
body swimming and
again.
The whole
jump.
time I was just thinking of The Haunting of Hill House because like the person hangs themselves and then like it shows her like swinging back and forth and it's just like ugh, I don't like it.
So
It gives you
Oh, I keep getting
it's
shit.
very eerie. I just like was picturing the whole time that like person in that TV show just swinging back and forth and I'm just like that no, thank you. Like that's just a TV. It's a TV show like based off of like a real story, but like even then, it's still creepy. I just yeah, I don't like that vibe.
Mm-mm. We're not messing with that. That poor person. That was terrifying. That's like scarring, but ugh. Okay. We ready for our third and last one?
Yes.
Third and last one. Let's get off of these creepy vibes.
I feel like eventually we're gonna have to start like ending with like a nice and easy story of like something cute or something.
Like a quick
Hmm.
little anecdote or like a puppy story or something.
Yeah, like you know how after a scary movie you watch like a Disney movie.
No, you watch a Disney movie. I don't watch the scary movie.
Yeah, but like you have to watch like SpongeBob or a Disney
You
movie
have to
after.
do
Yeah, like
something.
you can't
You
like
can't
just
just like, oh, I'm going to bed now. No, it just doesn't work like that.
yeah.
I just like I know we want to move on, but like I just want to say like that new Smile movie that came out a while back,
I hate
I
that one.
watched that in the theater and I was the only person in the theater. The only person. Yeah, I watched it midday. So like it was so scary, but like also I could just like give my reactions, like true reactions when I wanted to because I'm like, ah, and like no judgment because I'm the only one in the theater, but at the same time like it was still scary. I'm like I
I'd
want to
shit
leave.
bricks if I was the only one in there.
I wanted to leave, but I also wanted to stay because I wanted to finish the movie.
The end credits of the movie roll. The attendant comes in with the garbage can to be able to like start picking up the popcorn and whatever
Mhm.
else, and he just turns and smiles at you
Ugh,
like,
No.
no,
oh,
that would
oh.
mess me up. That would really mess me up. I'd throw hands. I'd be like, no, you don't. You
Paige,
don't do that to
fine.
someone. You do not do that to someone.
Oh,
Oh
it's
no.
great.
If I was that person, I would immediately take advantage of that.
No, I
Like,
left before anyone else came in. So, but yeah.
oh no. Okay.
All right.
Third story,
Third
Third
please.
story
story.
Let's
time.
move on.
You guys are gonna love this one.
I don't believe you.
I live next to a skinwalker.
Oh my goodness.
Me and my family have been seeing some of stuff over the years, and to me, it's terrifying. I have only experienced it 2 times. The first time was when I was 7, and this is the worst paranormal thing I have witnessed looking back. But I went into the kitchen and looked out the back door, and something laying down like a dog was looking at me, like eye contact. One eye was yellow, and the other was green. I tell everyone in the living room something is outside, and when they check, it's gone. The second time I've seen it was when I was going to get firewood for the stove, and as soon as I open the door, something right there moves extremely fast, causing me to jump back. Other members of the family have experiences too, like my sister who is taking the dog out to use the bathroom. There is an old woodshed that we don't use anymore, but that's where the dog used the restroom. And my sister said it looked at me, which was absolutely terrifying. I took the dog out once, and it was the same spot. I turned around and looked at a big bush. It starts shaking violently. I forced the dog to move with me back to the house. My grandmother liked to be in her car while watching stuff and drinking beer. But one time, it ran past the front of her car and she couldn't leave. She asked us to go out there and escort her back. She doesn't do that anymore, and it was her favorite thing to do. Not sure if this is the same thing or if it's related, but another time when I was 7, I woke up and something whispered my name. This scared the absolute shit out of me. And I went crying back to my older sister. This happened again when I was like 10. They were both coming from the back porch, where I saw it laying like a dog. Speaking of my older sister, a while ago, she was going up to the house through the backyard, which was really high grass at that point. She and her friend stop because of some rustling somewhere close, and something full sprint was going towards them, and they run to the house as quickly as possible. We hadn't slept much recently, until a few weeks ago. I was on a call with someone with my sister. I was messing around screaming for some reason. Me and my sister hear something scream back. We both look at each other and go inside. We live in the woods, not close to much, so that really freaked me out. There at least was a trend around Appalachia that's not deer. My friend was with one of his friends, and they were hunting. They see a skinwalker because the deer they saw ran and hid behind a tree, which kept peeking at them. Eventually, it runs off because it is much smaller. His friend got pictures of the footprints, which could be actual proof, but I can't get the pictures. The place they were was close, but apparently not our property. One of my biggest fears is one of our dogs coming back from outside, and it's not our dog, and it gets inside. Fuck that.
Yeah, I don't like that. The fact that you guys have like two dogs like makes me worried about that, but I don't it's not common here. Like they said it's like it's more common in Appalachia.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know, it's that the not a deer skinwalker stuff, I don't vibe with it. I don't like want to manifest that. I don't want to touch that. I don't like the topic of it. It's just all around like that. I don't want to screw around with that. It's just
I don't
not a
mess
vibe.
with it. That's why I don't even really like saying the names during the
Mhm.
episodes. Because I know a lot of people, they can't. They're not supposed to, like, be around the name for, I think, religious and cultural reasons.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, you're not supposed to really say the name, and I don't really like saying it because I feel like that manifests it in some
Again,
way.
it's like saying Beetlejuice 3 times over.
Yeah.
It's just you don't really want to say it.
Yeah. Paige, I don't want to say it, continues to say all the names.
That that's how it happened.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Doesn't want to do it, but will happenstance across it
Yeah.
if it just plays.
It's
Yeah.
just, I don't want to say Beetlejuice 3 times, but Beetlejuice. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really pay attention to the words I say because, obviously, because I then just do it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's really creepy. I don't like that.
I think the thing that gets me the most about like the skinwalker kind of stuff is like how different the creature it's inhabiting like reacts and interacts with the world around it. Like all of a sudden you've got two different eyes staring at you and then like a deer that's like peeking out from around the tree to like watch you. Like,
Ugh,
It's creepy.
gross.
It's
mhm.
creepy. It's just like, so there's like those ghosts and goblins and stuff like that that like people will say that like, oh, they're just theories, they're not real. But then there's people who say that those other entities, they are real, and they have certain situations and stories that they tell about, like, yeah, they're real. These other things, like, sure, whatever, but this is different.
Do you think that one day when, what was it, you, mom, and the twins, when you drove past a figure on the road, when you drove back it wasn't there? Do you think that could have been one of them?
I feel like that was more of a like a shadow person, or like a something different than what we're talking about here. I don't think that that was one of that. I don't it just doesn't seem like it behaved in the same way as a skinwalker. I just don't think so.
Do either of you think you've had an experience like that?
I've seen clips and like TikToks and things, but I don't, not personally.
Yeah, like firsthand, like
No.
Connor, I highly doubt, but maybe.
I don't think so. Like, don't get me wrong, I've seen weird stuff, but
Yeah. Truthfully, I don't feel like I have either.
Yeah, I feel like they're not in this region of the United States.
thank you.
Um, I feel like they're mostly like a lot of them are I hear about them in like Malaysia, like this one was,
Mm-hmm.
or like Arizona, like Skinwalker Canyon. Um,
Skinwalker Ranch.
yeah,
Like,
like they're not in the area of the US that we are in, and like I don't know if they're in like Europe or whatever. I feel like they should be because like Europe's just so old, or like Asia, like that's another like place that I feel like it could be, but yeah, I just in our region, I don't think they're here, but
But like that kind of stuff even goes back to like native times. And so
yeah.
I'm
mm-hmm.
curious like where some of these things originated from, or like, there's the Wendigo or Wendigo.
Hmm.
Like it's the same kind of feeling or like idea, same concept. And so I want to try and see or do research and go back in history to
Mm-hmm.
see like how long these things have been prevalent, how long people have been seeing or experiencing something very, very similar, and see if we can track down where stuff came from. But
I would love to hear from someone who is more familiar with the history behind like these entities, whether it's like you've just done a lot of research on it or you know it from your culture, like that'd be super cool to hear. Because I'd like to talk about that a little bit because as awesome as it is to read some of these stories and they're scary, but like I think reading some of the history behind it would also be super cool.
mm,
I think it might be a little bit like,
Yeah.
oh, fact of the day, or like something at the end
Yeah.
for everyone, just like, hey, here's our random fact of the day.
That's why I kind of liked the show Ghost Adventures because they did give the backstory. Like they would do their research before heading into this place.
Mm-hmm.
So like they like I just love that they would give the history of it and like they would tell it in a spooky vibe so like you kind of got into the show, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why I really liked that show. Like I haven't watched it in a while, but that's what I liked about that show and what they did with it.
Yeah. No, I think that's fun. I wish we had the history of this house, but I think we kind of already have it.
Yeah.
Because like person that we bought it, well, mom and dad bought it from, was an older couple.
Mhm.
Husband died, the woman was still alive,
And I
but
think
they
she's
built
yeah.
it in the 90s.
Yeah, it was built in the 90s. I feel like we're this mom and dad are the second owners of it.
Yeah, I think they're on the
There's not
second.
much history with this house
Mm-hmm.
because it's still a newer house. It doesn't have like that 1910s like kind of feel to it. It's still like, oh, this was built in the 90s and it had one previous owner.
Yeah.
wasn't ours in 1930?
It was
Our
1920. It
current one?
was
Yeah,
late.
that yeah.
Oh, your current one. Sorry.
I don't remember.
I think it might have been 1930.
I don't remember.
Oh,
Good year. Just kidding.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyways, this was fun. Love
Yeah.
these stories. It's
Yeah.
good to have both of you on.
I'm glad to have three people here. That is unique and different, and that's something we haven't done before. So, yeah, I'm interested in seeing how it turns out.
It'll be good. It'll be
Yeah.
great. So, well, thanks, guys. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
guys.